to Queer Conversations with Sharmaine Denise. I am Sharmaine Denise. And today we are here with my friend Susan Slade. And I just want to remind everyone the point of Queer Conversations and my hope with these dialogues. My aim with starting Queer Conversations is to create a safe space and foster dialogue around the connection between spirituality and sexuality, and where we're able to share stories about our spiritual journeys and how they correlate with our sexual identities and gender expressions. My hope is to create a judgment-free, open, and honest dialogue where we are free to share and listen with curiosity, empathy, and with love. So Susan, thank you so much for being here. And just a little bit about how we met. We met 5 years ago. Oh my gosh, 5 years ago, actually this month. I went on my first Olivia trip, which was a Mexican Riviera trip. And Olivia Travel is a lesbian travel agency, and they're absolutely phenomenal. And I went on my very first trip. I traveled by myself, and I met you amongst so many amazing women, but I met you, and we've been on however many trips after that, which has been like, we did Ixtapa, Punta Cana.
Two or three,
yeah.
One got canceled.
Yeah, well, yeah, then move to next year. to be arranged, yeah, to be determined. But we met 5 years ago this month, and I am so happy to be joined with you today. So thank you. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It was my first trip too, and I traveled by myself too. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't actually. That's awesome. All right, I love it.
Yeah.
So let's just jump in. I always like to start off our conversations with, like, okay, so what are your preferred pronouns, and what do you identify on the rainbow spectrum? Where do you identify?
I identify as a lesbian, and she, her is great.
Okay, awesome.
Susan, Slade, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah. So I always like to ask, so at what age or when did you first come out as a lesbian?
I was a late bloomer. I didn't come out until I was 40.
Wow. And I mean, not to put your age or anything on the out there.
15 years ago.
Okay. And what was that experience like for you? How did that journey start for you?
I was married to a man, and the last couple of years of being married to him, I started just thinking something didn't feel quite right. And I started honestly like dreaming of women.
Nice.
And that kind of grew, and it was very interesting just why that grew, but it did. And ultimately things didn't work out for he and I. And not because of that. He actually started dating someone else when I was out of the country for a brief trip.
Oh God.
Anyhow, but I often think about like what would have happened, because I was very much a person that I am very loyal, and you get married, and I totally meant everything I said in my vows. And I often wonder, what my life would be like had he not done that, because I probably would have stayed married.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So I know everything happens for a reason. And so I thank him today that he did that, because, now I get to be with all these lovely women just like you. So
right. Made it a little bit easier to kind of leave that.
It did. And then I was really, really fortunate. I was scared, and I didn't really, know what to do. I actually, the L word was out around that time. And so I glued myself to the TV. I watched every episode. I actually ordered The Advocate and then another magazine. I don't remember which they were, but they came in brown wrappers at the time. And unbeknownst to me, one was for guys and one was for women. So that was pretty funny. And then I rented every movie that Showtime and HBO had, every lesbian. And I just, for 6 months, I just was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to do some work, do some
Right,
studying.
right.
So I had a little lesbian 101 for 6 months.
Right,
And
right.
after that, I found a website and signed up. And the first person that responded to my ad, I asked her out. There was no vetting. It was,
Wow.
she could have had
Was
4
that,
eyes.
was that a dating website when you
It
said
was.
that? Oh, okay.
It
Okay.
was. And we went out for 3 months, and then I realized that, she was very nice, but we were almost the same person. Like, it was not going to work out. And
Yeah.
anyways, but after I came out,
Mhm.
it was interesting how I started going back in time and going, well, wait a minute. Okay, remember that time when that one girl like hugged you too long? And remember
Right.
how you felt? And just like little things that I could actually trace back into my 20s.
Wow.
And so I don't think I was ready. I didn't want to like address it. I just sort of pushed it all down.
Mhm.
So anyways, I was very lucky. My family welcomed me. I had no backlash from anyone. I was really, really fortunate. And I'm grateful for everybody that came before me, because I know it wasn't that way for most.
Wow. That is so wild. It's so interesting that you bring up the L word, because the L word was instrumental in me like
Oh,
also trying to navigate like this like new lesbian identity. Well, at the time it was bisexual, but that didn't work for me either. That label wasn't appropriate for me, but trying to understand like what does this mean in being in a community, and what does it mean to be lesbian? Like I don't not that there's any rules, but in my mind I was just like, okay, I I need some help. I need some guidance, and not having anyone to talk to and just kind of support you and understand what you're going through, like that just felt for me felt very isolating. So I don't know if that was something similar that you felt. um,
definitely. I
maybe.
didn't know I didn't know one other lesbian. I did work for a gay man at the time, and I had spent a lot of time hanging out with him and his friends, and even we would go out dancing and stuff, but I didn't know any lesbians at all. I didn't know anyone personally. And so it was definitely overwhelming and fearful. And I remember, Bet and Tina and their love scenes, and I remember vividly thinking, what are they doing on top of each other? Like,
Right.
what are they like, what are their like, I just am I was like, I don't understand. Like, I just didn't understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
all very new, right?
yeah, I understand now, but I had
Yeah,
no
right.
idea. I was just like, what are they and why? Like, could they really feel that great with one on top of each other without? Yeah, anyways.
That's so funny. Yeah, having kind of a Ginny Schechter moment, I guess. No, I'm just
Right. I felt a little, I definitely was like related to her a little bit. It's funny when you said about being bisexual, because I initially took that label, because I thought, how could I have been with men all my life?
Mhm.
And I still today find men very attractive, but I'm definitely 100% lesbian. But
Yeah.
I think it was just, for me, something that I thought was easier to do or say, to
Mhm.
sort of ease my way in.
Yeah, I understand that. It's so interesting. I wrote a little post about, because it was International Lesbian Day, like in October, and I actually wrote a little post about that because for the longest time, I grew up in a Christian household, so being taught about homosexuality and all of that being a sin, and then almost like even in the terms of like the word gay versus lesbian just had this weird kind of negative undertone for me, that was really rooted in and tied to my shame story. So for the longest time, I didn't want to say that word, and it's kind of like something I need to whisper and like.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that also contributed to why it took me a little bit longer to really identify as a lesbian and really own that and say that. And that was tied to a lot of underlying shame I still had
Mm.
about who I am. But I understand that, and it is a journey. It is a process. And then when you're trying to do it on your own and not really having someone to confide in, it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. So I appreciate your openness in sharing that.
Sure.
So as far as like, were you raised in any type of religious or spiritual tradition?
Well,
Growing up? Yeah.
we had a very I don't want to use the word strict, but that's the word that pops into my head.
Mm-hmm.
Religious upbringing. I was baptized Lutheran,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to church every single Sunday,
Yeah.
and one or two nights of the week as well. We were in the choir and did Bible studies, and my family was very involved in the church. We were really good friends with the pastor and his wife and his kids. He had a lot of kids, and we were all sort of at the same age of them. So we hung out with them a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you think that that contributed with you maybe suppressing some of your feelings, or what did that look like for you as far as that journey?
I sort of broke away from the church when I was younger. I don't know how much of this you want to get into.
No, we're just talking, whatever you want to share, you know?
I like traditional church, and what I was being taught never really sat with me.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't. And I still today don't really know what that was, but I just know that when I was sitting in church, I was a toddler when they took us, all of us kids. My little sister went as a baby. And so, but as far as I can remember, when I was aware of what was being spoken and what I was understanding, it seemed very foreign to me, and I didn't wrap my arms around it at all. And then my parents ended up getting a divorce when I was 12-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And we stopped going to church immediately. It was the strangest thing. I don't know if my mom was sort of felt some shame as well, but my dad moved out of town, and my mom then had to start working full time, and we literally just stopped going.
Okay.
And so, and then another incident happened later on in life that I won't go into all the details, but the pastor that I knew my entire life ended up having an affair with someone in the church.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which completely rattled like any leftover
Right.
teachings that I had from
Right.
him. And then unfortunately, he ended up actually killing himself. He shot himself.
Oh, wow.
And when I was in college. And so my attachment to religion has been a really strange trip. And so I think that I just pulled away. So no, it didn't have to do with religion for me.
Okay.
I think I didn't understand it. And I just didn't understand, I think, what I was feeling. Even earlier when I wasn't aware of it or wasn't addressing my feelings, I didn't understand it, and I just pushed it down.
I understand.
And even actually after my husband and I split up, I thought, okay, I want to date women. And I forgot a little part of the story. I ended up actually dating another guy for almost a year.
Yeah.
And but when we were divorcing, in my head, I was like, that's it. I'm not dating men anymore. I'm going to try this. And I didn't. I ended up going out and meeting a guy, and I dated him for a year. And then when we broke up, I was like, that's it. Not another man until I figure this out, because it was definitely bubbling up. And I think it just got to the point where for true to myself, I didn't want to live another day not knowing what those feelings were.
Right.
So I think I was just ready.
Yeah. To fully just kind of explore what that feeling is and see what that's all about, right?
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So so where are you as far as being raised Lutheran and kind of being taken from not taken from the church, but just stop going to church, and it didn't seem like the teachings resonated with you anyway. Where are you spiritually? Do you have I don't want to say well, probably not religious, but as far as your spirituality, spiritual practice. Thank you. That's the perfect word.
Sure.
That's what I was looking for.
I do, and I kind of identified as atheist for probably 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, just had a few people pass away in my family, and I was feeling really lost, and just I didn't know really how to process that.
Right.
And I was feeling a little upended, and a friend of mine gave me Eckhart Tolle's
Oh yeah.
CDs. There were they were CDs, 12 of them.
Oh my God.
The Power of Now.
The power. I was like 12 of them. I was like, power now.
It was The Power of Now. And I remember, and this was now maybe 4 years ago, and I put it in. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not, as what I call myself now, hippy dippy. I was not into anything like that. I didn't even want to, I was like, what are you giving me? No, I don't need to hear this. And she's like, no, I really think you need to hear this.
Yeah.
So I listened to a few of them, and then I put them away and didn't do anything with them. And then I had this more loss. And then I had a major move from one state to another. And when I arrived at my next destination, I pulled those out and put them in, and then everything just clicked together. It all started resonating. And then I started doing yoga and attending sound baths and meditating and chanting, and sort of the floodgates just opened up for me.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and that was pretty recent then, as far as where
you're about 2 years, I would say. Like, I'm fully immersed about the last 2 years.
Yeah. Oh. I was like, I hear some music. No.
I thought I turned that phone off. No. I just hung up on my mother. But let me turn that phone off.
Oh, sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the Power Now, Eckhart Tolle, yoga. So more of the more like Buddhist type leanings, or what would you say?
I would sort of say Buddhist, I guess. I mean, I think I'm still trying to figure out those labels now. I don't really know what it is. All I know is that I do meditate, and I meditate to just a higher power. I don't use the term God. I say universe a lot.
Yep.
Higher power. I don't really think I know exactly what that is today, but it's enough for me to be able to just center myself and chant and, listen to teachings. And so I've really now just opened up my willingness to learn and sort of sample a little bit of everybody just to see what sits with me. And I've done that this last year. I do, when I think you mentioned too that you started off a little bit with Deepak and Oprah, and I did those 21 days as well. And, a whole host of people now that I follow, and some local people where I live now. And I went to the Bhakti Festival last year by myself. And that was phenomenal. I did that for 3 days. And for those of you who maybe don't know what that is, it's a weekend retreat of yoga and music, kirtan music, and I'm not doing it justice, but anyways, and you can go from tent to tent and just sort of drop in and do whatever you want. And there's simultaneously events going on. And I sat down to my very first Kundalini Yoga class, and my head was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Right. And that's breath work, right?
It's complete breath work and the breath of fire. And honestly, after an hour, I thought, I'm not going to be able to speak ever again. My whole neck, everything was on fire, but it was exhilarating. I really enjoyed that. And then I sort of moved off into Hatha yoga when I returned. And so I think I'm still just experimenting with
you're still exploring. You're in the
I'm exploring, right.
And I guess kind of cultivating your own spiritual practice and what that looks
correct
like for you. So
it's a lot of everything right now.
So this is always like my $1 million question. Do you think there's a link between spirituality and sexuality? Is there one for you?
So unfortunately, I mean, when you say sexuality, I immediately think of like a partner, and I haven't had one in a little while. A year. So, and then when I actually like a serious partner, I haven't really had one since I embraced consciousness and meditation and yoga and everything. So I'm not quite sure the link for me. I do know that the last couple of people that I just dated they were not interested in what I'm studying. And I found that to be something that it was hard to continue to pursue with them, because I really want this to be a big part of my life, or at least something that someone else understands,
Yeah.
supports.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. No, because this is so okay. So I get the partner thing. So I'm gonna actually revise that question, and we'll get back to the partner thing.
Sure.
As far as the link between sexuality and spirituality, I guess I'm more talking about your identity and what you identify as, and if there's a link between the two, if they go hand in hand for you. I know that it's kind of a weird question, and maybe I'm not explaining it right, but
can you give me a little bit more of an example?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll answer the question then.
Okay.
So for me, I think there is a direct link for me in my journey. I know for a fact that I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for God, Creator, my higher power. I don't know if you know a little bit about what I shared about my journey, but I've struggled with anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts since I was a very, very young child. That is something that I've tried to hide in many, many ways. It's not something that I've shared openly with people, but it is part of my journey. And I've had like a deep knowingness that there's something bigger than me that's always been guiding me and holding and protecting me. So, and no matter what anybody told me or anybody preached at me, or the things that I learned in my, Christian religion class or going to church, that there is nothing wrong with me, that how God created me and how I identify and the identities that I embrace as I move throughout life, this was all divinely created. And I am here as a gay, Black woman. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing essentially wrong with my nature. This is who I am, and no matter what anybody told me or tried to convince me of, that's not going to shake my belief in God, and that God don't make mistakes. So for me, there is a direct link, because I've always felt kind of protected and guided. And when I thought about taking my own life when I was 9, I literally had something take a hold of me and just wrap me in so much love, and just basically like everything was going to be okay. So for me, that's my link. And I've always felt that, no matter, even though I tried to hide, I tried to bury as deep as I can, but that manifested in ways like my behavior, it just some gnarly bad behavior, because I had so much shame and so much guilt and so much self-hate, because I allowed other people to tell me who I am. And I believe that. So for me, the fact that I'm sitting, that's my link. That is my link. So that's my answer, but that's me.
Well, how do I follow that up? That's pretty powerful. No, I mean, I'm so glad that you had that experience, that you felt that.
Yeah. And I still do. Every day. I still do. I feel, just, I don't know, just so much support.
That's amazing. I don't know that everyone feels that. I don't feel that.
Yeah.
I don't know that, and I certainly don't feel that every day personally, but I have something else that it's not the same, but I have some sort of sense that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
and that this last year, funny, but it's 2020, and I decided this, which is really interesting and ironic, but I woke up on January 1st and I realized that I really needed to tune inward and really develop and give, I guess, attention to my intuition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can go back and pinpoint the moments in life that maybe weren't fabulous. And, you know, I can go back and think, oh yeah, you know, you had two decisions or you had choices and you chose because it was something you wanted, or it was shiny, or it was new, or it was this or that. And rather than really listening to your gut. And so it's still a struggle.
Yeah.
It's still something I need to do, but there's something about that for me, that my intuition, I feel like everything's going to be okay. I don't know, that sounds so silly and cheesy, but it's just,
but that's real though. That's real.
yeah.
You know, and leaning into that and trusting that's the hard part. You know, how many times can we think back on, you know, we're faced with various decisions and challenges, whether big or small, right? That's all relative. And we get these gut like sparks and we're like, no. And then we talk ourselves out of it and we go do something else, right? So, and that, it takes knowing yourself, listening to yourself, and trusting yourself, right? And that is powerful, you know?
And taking a pause, really taking a pause before I act.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I suppose that is tied to my spirituality, because I wouldn't have even considered intuition 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So maybe that is a little bit of what you're saying.
I like that. And I have a good question for you.
Go.
Speaking about trusting intuition, and you felt a call this year to really lean into that and really harness that connection with yourself. How do I want to pose this question? Is that something that you've paid attention to in the past when it comes to dating and meeting people? So we're going to bring it back to the dating question, right?
Yeah. No, I've been a train wreck with all of that. I mean, I'll be honest about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the other thing on January 1st. I made up some rules, which, you know, I think we all have rules or things or lists that someone has to hit.
Yeah.
And, you know, 20 years ago, could they dance? Did they look cute on the dance floor? I mean, these were the important things in life to me. And now they're completely different. And I woke up January 1st, I thought, that's it, no more. Like I have a whole different list of things that are important to me, and I am not going to settle now. And one of them is being mindful and being able to look inward. And, you know, if you don't like what you see, at least be open to working on things. And I in the past had dated people knowing right off the bat that there was this, that, or the other that wasn't going to be a good fit for me. And, you know, you close your eyes and you just merrily go on your way. And then 5 months later, you're like, oh my God, I so love this person, or I really like them and my heart's in it. But, you know, they have 12 cats and 4 dogs and bunny rabbits and guinea pigs, and I have allergies, and they want to be. And I'm like, what the hell have I done? Like, I really love this person, but I can't live with this person. And then I have to say no and break it up and move on.
Yeah.
So it's just being more aware now of what I need, and I will not do it again. Like, I will stay single until I have, and it's not a lot of stuff, but the things that are most important to me, like somebody that doesn't have, you know, a million animals that I'm going to sneeze.
Right.
I can't do that. It's a simple, easy thing.
Yeah. So obviously finding someone that is mindful and having that mindful connection together, that's important to you.
Super important.
Yeah. So there you go, as far as developing that intuition, right? And those red flags, that's you know, like high beams at you, and not to ignore it in the future and move it.
Right. No, I'm proud of myself. I met someone on a dating site maybe about 2.5 months ago, and
Mhm.
she lives in another country, and we were chatting, and I was like, whatever. We're all homebound right now because of COVID. And I thought, oh, it was nice to chit chat with her. And I thought she was starting to have feelings for me. And then she told me she had a cat. Cat, and the cat sleeps in her bed, and
Okay.
so and then I forget what the second, there was something else. Oh, and she does not meditate at all, and so when I finally, about a couple, like 3 weeks in, and I could tell she started to like me, and I said, I just want you to be aware. I said, we can be friends, but
Yeah.
this is not going to go anywhere. And she was really sad, and she said, well, I don't understand. And I said, well, these are the things I'm looking for. And she said, well, can I just go to the beach while you meditate? I was like, you can, but that's not what I want. And I was
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
respect myself enough, and I respect you, and that's no. And she's like, well, my cat can sleep downstairs. And I just said, yeah, I've been there, done
Yeah.
that,
We're
not doing
like
that again.
negotiating things.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of negotiating. I said, I'm really sorry, but I just can't. You're really fun, and I like you, but I can't.
Yeah, I understand that. I will say that the more and more that I've gone along my spiritual journey and really coming into my own and really finding my own voice, because it's wavered quite a bit in my own journey. And I've taken possibility, but I've given over my power in various situations where I look up, weeks later, months later, and I'm like, who the heck am I? I don't know what just
How did I
happened.
get here?
How did I get here? Right. And, hindsight is obviously better than 2020. It's 2015 with better vision. But I will say the more and more I've taken time to get to know myself, fall back in love with myself, and really embrace who I am and acknowledge the light and dark spots about me, the better I am, I'm able to engage with others and really, figure out whether we're talking romantic partners, whether or not we're going to connect and we're going to vibe. And
Right.
I felt very empowered in, asking the appropriate questions right off the bat and making sure that, if it is a match, great. If it's not, no hard feelings. So I've learned. Now we're talking about dating. I've learned how to be just better and more tactful and empowering myself to really step into that and speak my own truth, right?
Excellent.
So
Well, that's what I need to work on next, is like moving that timeline up a little sooner and finding the right words, not let 3 weeks go by, but yeah.
Yeah, I have found it just takes practice.
Okay.
Because I kind of approach every relationship, not romantic, really, but every new encounter, it's the same. Are we going to be friends? I always love making friends. Like, that's always great. So I kind of approach it all in the same manner.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't put pressure on myself because it's really, it's not that big a deal. We're just here. We're humans, right?
We're human. We're allowed to make mistakes, right? As long as we're not hurting people, seriously hurting people, we're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. What other questions do I have? So, okay, you are, going along your spiritual journey. Obviously, having a mindful partner is very, very important for you. Meditation and yoga are a part of your spiritual and daily practice. And so, as far as your family, because you mentioned how kind of supportive they were when you came out, and I'm assuming they still are, as far as
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They're not as supportive with my meditation yoga journey. They think I don't know what they think, but it's okay. Yeah. They don't need to be on board with it. It's just foreign to them all, they're pretty rigid. Mm-hmm. I probably shouldn't say that online. Well, I love them all very much, but yeah, I don't know that I have one sister who's a little bit interested in all of this. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But no, I feel supported.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's important, because support goes a whole long
Right.
way. So
I mean, what I really love is that I have two nieces that I have been out for the entire time they've been on this earth. And so I had a long-term partner, almost 8 years from when the first one was a baby, when she came into the world. And so they had only known me up until, we broke up, that it was the two of us. And that was our family unit. And so they are completely, there's not even a blink of an eye when it comes to two guys or two women together in their lives. And for me, I really absolutely love that, because it really is true. We are the products of our parents and who raised us and what they taught us and what they told us was right and wrong, or what's good or bad. And my brother-in-law and my sister never said anything one way or another. This is just who we were. And yeah, I love that.
That is
I've
fantastic.
gotten to see it with my eyes.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It does. That is absolutely amazing. And I know that we are seeing with every passing generation, we're just seeing, more and more acceptance, and it's not really like a thing,
Right.
And we're seeing that with the evolution of, non-binary and, pronouns, and just making that more of a public conversation. And I'm
awareness.
I'm still learning, and it's so amazing just to watch how everything's unfolding. And I just truly feel like the more and more and more that we love and embrace our spiritual selves, the better we are in this world.
Right.
And
because our good little stuff just radiates off of us, and it can't help but just
we are
get on people.
Yeah,
right?
and we are all connected. We are all energy, and we're all connected. So we all have different makeups. Obviously, we all look very different, but we are all the same at the core. We are all the same at the core. And love is the most powerful and binding thing. And
cheers to love.
That's yes. And that's all I gotta say about that.
Okay, I like it. Perfect.
Yeah. So we talked about meditation and sound baths. So are you a meditation teacher, training? What's going on with that?
So I am currently in a 6-month Chopra meditation teacher training. So I'm excited about that. And then I also am currently doing some classes on sound baths. And I have, here, hold on a second. I have my first bowl. It's quite tiny. All of my stuff is really small, which is good because I'm sort of going through this phase of trying to embrace minimalism.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there yet. You don't want to see my room, but I'm working towards that. So it's interesting that all of my sound bath instruments that I have, and I only have 4, they're all super small. So this is my first bowl. So here, can I play a little?
Mm-hmm.
I love.
That's amazing.
I love sound. I get so much energy from sound. And anyway, so I'm doing that. So I'm hopefully I really at some point, my dream of all dreams is to have some sort of a company that does sound baths at sea.
Oh, nice.
Which sounds insane and crazy because I don't know how to do it all, but it'll, that's okay. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I just bought Sound Baths at Sea website. So I have no plans yet, but I have the domain for 10 years.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. So
I really love water. Absolutely love water. And I love sound. And I feel like they both should be brought together. It's just logistics, how to do that. Because typically you're laying down for sound baths, but there's no reason why you couldn't be sitting up in a boat.
True.
That's moving.
True. Yeah, no, that is amazing. So sound baths, let's see. Okay, first of all, I love sound baths. Like that is, and I went to my very first one last year. Yeah, last year out here in Palm Springs, actually. I wasn't living here yet, but yeah, and it was absolutely amazing. Really didn't know what to expect with the sound bath. And the sound bath, for people that don't know, it's singing bowls that are tuned to your individual chakras, and it's about alignment and balance and healing and all that. I know it's probably sounds woo woo, but I love it. And I didn't know what to expect, so of course, I fell asleep because that's
Yep, that happens.
But I just know that I felt so, I don't know, I just felt so alive after. And I was like, I just know I have to do this again. I mean, I don't know what happened, but I'm like, I just know I have to do this again. And I found a group closer to where I was living at the time, and I was going every Monday night, like clockwork. And there's something very powerful when you get a group of people together and you set your intentions, whatever that intention may be. And I was going through a rough time during that time period, and I just wanted balance and I wanted peace. And the more I kept asking for, and the more I kept putting out there, the more this energy started to just amplify. And I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel a bit better, like each time I would go. So I love a sound bath, and I will be the first person to sign up for
All right.
sound bath with you. Okay.
Not quite sure when I'm going to do it yet. I will take the leap though. Like you are a huge inspiration to me. So I'm not quite ready yet, but I'm getting there. I had some hand surgeries this last year on both hands, so I'm not quite super ready for it. But as soon as I am, watch out.
See, and then I'm sure playing the bowls, that's good, like physical therapy too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all it takes is an idea. All it takes is an idea. So, and slowly but surely, things line up. You meet people, and things just start falling into place. And then before you know it, you are actually leading your sound bath. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I love it. That is fantastic. So, how long is your program that you're doing for your?
It's 6 months.
Okay. So
I'm only about 6 weeks in, so I've quite a while to go still.
Okay, well that is awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing where you are at the end of all that, and
thank you.
I look forward to attending your sound baths and sound bath at sea or on land, wherever you do it, because I'm a big fan. So, but I just want to say thank you so very much for being here and being so open talk about your journey, and also to discuss dating. That really wasn't on the agenda, but I love that we talked about it. So
I know, I feel like we maybe veered off, and was it okay? Did you get enough of your questions that you wanted?
No, you are good. You are good. No, it is I always find it very fascinating because we talk about spirituality and sexuality, more of that individual and personal process, but this also involves the people around us, right? And the people that we call into our lives. So, and how we relate to each other, and I think that that's important too. So I appreciate your honesty and your candidness today. So
sure. Thanks for asking me. It was nice. It was fun to hang out with you virtually.
Yeah, I know. God. I look
someday
when we can come together again on an Olivia trip. So
I can't wait. We need to figure that out.
All in good time, my dear. But I thank you so much. Thank you for being here.